You guys have demanded it and demanded it, and you know what? I'm finally going to oblige because I really love the series and I would like to talk about it a little bit more. So here is my very belated reviews of Attack on Titan episodes 4 and 5, and I just want to stress that I am going to catch up during the next week. I am going to release a few more reviews. I want to talk about them in 2 episodes at a time because there's just a lot to talk about. But I am going to release the other reviews, and I'm probably just going to start reviewing the series as it goes on because the more I watch it, the more I'm really enjoying it. So let's just jump right into episode 4. Episode 4 essentially picks up from the last one where we get to see that Aaron and a group of his friends are still training and getting ready to graduate. And the fruits of their training are definitely starting to show. There are a ton of badasses. And this episode really is to show a lot of the side characters who are going to be introduced in this arc. And we get to learn a few more names and everything. First and foremost, I just want to say that Sasha Blouse is absolutely hilarious. She's one of the more interesting characters I've ever actually seen in an anime series, and I just love watching her antics. And there's a lot of tension between the characters as well, as everybody has these different ideologies and ways that they want to fight against the Titans. You have a character like Aaron who essentially is just blinded by his rage and just wants to kill every Titan in sight, and you have a character like Jean who simply wants to live in peace inside the inner walls. And the tension really comes to a boiling point in this episode where you really get to see that Aaron has definitely surpassed him in terms of his strength and definitely in terms of his bravery. But there's some other stuff here. You get to see them training in the woods, fighting against these giant wooden dolls that look like the Titans. And what is interesting, it seems like the Titans actually have a weak point, and this is brought up a little bit more in episode 5. Apparently, when you want to kill one of these guys, the best way to do it is to attack them right behind the neck. There's this portion that you can cut, and that'll apparently put them down for good. So eventually in the episode, we get to see that our characters have finally graduated. They've come a long way. A lot of them have changed quite a bit, aside from maybe Armin, who's still very, very timid, but that's a huge part of his character. But really, it's the last part of episode 4 that like really caught me off guard and really shocked me. Essentially, what's going on is Aaron has convinced a lot of those people who decided they were going to be in the inner city to decide to go with the reconnaissance team. And that's very, very dangerous. But he convinced a lot of them, and that's really awesome. And he gives this really inspiring speech, and it looks like that's actually going to be the end of the episode, like right there, just him posing cool in front of the camera. And then suddenly there's this lightning flash right behind him, and all of a sudden that giant titan just appears right there in front of the city. And it's really, really shocking, and it's very creepy, and it freaked me out big time. And so it proceeds to kick through the city again, and then all of a sudden the titans start attacking again, and everything starts over. And that's where episode 5 begins to pick up. And episode 5 is just a thrill ride. It's one of those moments where I watch an anime and I'm like, this is the reason why I don't go to the movies anymore. Because all of the action set pieces that are within this episode are like better than most Hollywood movies. And to think they're going to do a live action adaptation of this as well, I can't wait to see how that turns out. So episode 5 is like what I like to call the ultimate panic episode. It's kind of similar to the beginning of the series when the Titans first busted in, and everybody, of course, is flipping their shit, and everybody's like trying to run off and do their own thing. People are trying to escape. The soldiers are trying to get lined up and ready to fight. And that's what's interesting here. There's actually a bunch of different divisions of the soldiers. And it comes to a point where Mikasa and Eren are going to be separated. And this is a really crucial part of this episode because they've never really been separated, and they're not biological brother and sister, but they're basically brother and sister, and they're always there for each other. But Mikasa's a fucking badass. That's why she gets to be with the group of elites. And I can't wait to learn a little bit more about her and why she's just such a hardened, awesome character. And speaking of awesome characters, I didn't even mention in episode 4, there were a few other people that were introduced. There was this really tough as nails chick by the name of Annie, who can pretty much just beat the fuck out of anybody. And she's kind of a lone wolf type of character. I can't wait to see what they do with her. But I think she's going to have some pretty big confrontations with the main character. You can kind of see it building up because they have like a little sparring match with each other that's pretty interesting. So back to the city where all these fucking giant zombie things are attacking everybody. Just like in the first episode, all the smaller titans are starting to make their way into the inner city, and they're just starting to eat everybody, and it's all freaky as hell. And then that's when Eren and them start to pump themselves up, and they decide, all right, let's go fight. And that's when you get that very thrilling sequence of watching all of them run across the rooftops using their 3D gear. And it just, like I said, it looks so thrilling. And the camera angles that they choose as you're flying with them through the city is just so fast-paced and so nice. And it's unlike anything I've seen in an anime before. And I really, really like that. Eren and his friends make their way to the front of the city where they get to see a lot of the soldiers are just being completely decimated by the Titans. When all of a sudden this one Titan just jumps up right in front of them at a speed that's like almost scary. and it manages to catch one of those guys right in his mouth. In a really, really creepy scene, they watch this soldier get eaten alive right in front of them. It's very disturbing. And this is where probably the most crazy part of the episode comes into play. You see, Aaron just gets pissed off. He just flies immediately into his 3D gear, pulls out his double blades, and what's really cool about the scene, like I said, just the way it's animated, the way like he's moving and how he's ducking under different buildings and bridges and stuff, and you could just feel the anger from him. And as he's about to hit this Titan point blank, this other Titan comes up right from beneath him and bites his fucking leg off. And then he just skids across these rooftops. And all of a sudden, everybody starts panicking. They all start getting eaten and ripped in half. It's crazy. It's fucking nuts. And what's really, really creepy here is Armin is just watching the entire time, and he can't even move. He's freaked out. And that's when this other weird, freaky Titan comes over with, like, this beard. And he picks up Armin, and Armin still can't do anything, and he literally starts to swallow him. And then all of a sudden, Aaron gains the strength, even though he's missing one fucking leg, to jump inside this Titan's mouth, brace it open, throw Armin out, and explain to him that I wanted to see the outside world. And that's where they go into this whole flashback where Aaron and Armin are talking about the ocean and everything. And then we finally cut away, and the fucking Titan's jaws slam down, and Aaron's arm gets bitten off as it flies towards the screen. Words. I can't think of any right now. I cannot explain the amount of emotion they're able to put into a single episode of this series. Things that can literally pump you up, make you sad, make you scared. It is amazing the emotions this actual anime can evoke from people. And that's why I think it's really interesting to talk about. It's not just a bunch of big monsters attacking a city and people having to defend against them. It's about the people themselves. It's about the struggles they have to go with. And there was one line that Aaron said that I think is really, really fucking awesome in this episode. It was when Mikasa was worried about them being separated. And Aaron essentially said this very bluntly. He's like, humanity's on the brink of extinction. No one gives a fuck what you care about right now. So it's a very blunt series. This one was definitely a very dark episode, especially towards the end, getting to see Aaron's team just get completely decimated. I did not expect to see Aaron, like, get eaten by a Titan in this episode, and it completely caught me off guard. Just one of the creepiest things I've ever seen in any anime series, and it continues to shock me. Everything from the production values to the music, which is absolutely fantastic. All of the incredible backgrounds, whether they take place during the day, the night, the morning, everything just looks perfect in this series. And thank God Funimation has actually licensed this series, because I cannot wait to put it in my collection. So, if it's not obvious, both episodes 4 and 5 get a 10 out of 10 from me. This is the premier anime series I think to see this season, if only for the incredibly well done characters and production value, and that really great action that, like I said, rivals even big Hollywood movies and does even better than some of them. So, there it is. That's my thoughts on Attack on Titan. It's an emotional roller coaster that I think any anime fan should definitely watch. And, show it to some non-anime people. They might actually be turned on by this, because it's unlike anything that I've ever seen before. So, animation team, keep up the good work. I hope you guys release some really great content, and I really hope you're able to split up the seasons so that we don't get any filler, and that we are able to adapt the entire manga series, because Attack on Titan is slowly but surely becoming one of my absolute favorite anime series of all time, easily in my top 5, and I'm only a couple episodes in, so there it is. But how did you guys feel about this week's episode? You can let me know with your comments below. Remember, guys, before you leave, make sure and hit that like button so you can give this video a thumbs up. It's the best way to support our videos. That concludes this one today. We'll see you next time. Super Comic Guru 9000, out. Hey, if you guys got time, maybe you could check out this video. Or this video. They're both pretty good. Alright, that was my shitty sales pitch. See you next time.